Hi everyone, it's Hiba here with Seller Mobile. I've got a very special guest with me here today. This is Shirag from the Appeals
Hello.
Guru. And so today we're talking about the very, very dreaded subject of Amazon suspensions. Now, Shirag has promised me that this isn't going to be all doom and gloom, and he's got some great tips for us to talk about what happens, what you do as a seller, how you can overcome it. So let's first talk about what does it mean to be suspended from Amazon. So you get that dreaded email in your inbox, you go to your Seller Central account, you've got that little red flag, you click on it to sort of see what's going on, and it can be a variety of different things, right? It can be a warning of something you need to look into. It could be something like a listing has been suppressed, right? So something you need to fix, or it could be a straight out suspension. And for those people that are making, 50, 60,000 a month, being suspended is huge. It's a huge source of income that they're missing out on. So Shirag, tell me why? What is the most common reason? Why do people get suspended?
People get suspended for loads of different kind of reason. Amazon is very strict, and they got a lot of policy warnings. And like most of the people, from our past experience, most of the sellers, for them, suspension comes as a surprise. So one morning they wake up and they'll see, oh, their account is suspended. Suddenly they would have no clue that why it has been suspended or what is the reason. Then they look into it and then they find out that there are several reasons which makes their account go into this situation where they get suspended. One could be like late shipment rate is very common.
Okay.
When a lot of sellers we have come across, what they tend to do is they have a software which they use. So all their orders are imported to the software. They ship the products on time, but they forgot to mark as dispatch, which is very common. Like we have dealt with like maybe 50 to hundreds of them recently, last 6 months,
Okay.
where there is like an unwanted suspension. You're doing the right thing, but your Amazon metrics will reflect that, oh, you are not shipping on time.
Got it.
Click, then you won. I mean, you're out of it. And one morning you come, oh, I ship all my orders on time, but you didn't realize to mark them shipped.
Got it.
So we come across this a lot of cases, and then you have to analyze. You have to explain Amazon, which is the most difficult part. Explaining Amazon that okay, I was doing this right, because for their metrics, we come say okay, no, but our metric says you didn't do that.
Right.
Percentage has gone down. So that is one of the thing.
Okay.
Sometimes people come across where used sold as new complaint. So, for example, like you have shipped a product, the packaging might be damaged, and the customer has received it, and the customer would think, oh wow, it looks used. It may not be used, but it looks used. So they file returns, and they mark the reason for return would be used item, so it is new. So this is one of the reasons where the seller wouldn't know. The seller is shipping, oh, all of the goods are new, brand new, we're shipping it on time, no issues. But this is also an important factor where all sellers should always see the reason of return.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes this is the forget. Okay, they have like X number. Whenever I ask a seller, okay, do you know return reports? Do you monitor it? Oh, we don't know how to get it. So that is where something you get most of the reasons you find like, oh, why it has been returned.
Right.
Customer will say, okay, sometimes customer just for the sake of them say inauthentic.
Right.
And that is one more violation. Like Amazon will pick up that they are
And
inauthentic.
customer service is huge for Amazon, right? It's a part of their business model. It's for sellers to provide really good customer service. And so when that issue happens, Amazon is really serious about that, right? And this affects both retail arbitrage, it affects private label, right? Is that what you've seen in your time of doing this?
Yeah, that's very correct. Like just a simple statement where customer is always right.
Yeah.
So that is how it is. I mean, the customer is always right. So you need to monitor those metrics because they are very unusual thing which you wouldn't notice.
Right.
Buyers are not aware. Some buyers, I would say 99.9% buyers are very good.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't know the reason to return and they would put something which may not be like. We had one very big seller in my history of sales. This guy used to do nearly £1 million worth of business every month.
Right.
And everything was FBA. So it's a foolproof business. Everything FBA, no problems at all. One customer made 5 orders. He was selling candles, basically. He was selling candles. Yankee candles. I'm not disclosing information about my customer. But
Yankee candles are really popular. Yeah, a lot of people sell them. Yeah.
So one customer from Italy made 5 orders every few days, and then he complained that they're fake. So I told my client, did you speak to the customer? He said, I spoke with the customer. The customer feels, it doesn't smell as good as last time. But that doesn't mean that it's fake.
They're fake. Right,
but Amazon suspended his account immediately, and he had 300,000 units piled up for Christmas in the FBA.
Yes.
And Amazon has landed him nearly 400,000 in loan. Yeah. And his account was doing 1 million a month. And the seller was really surprised. And I'm so big, Amazon is making a lot of money from me. Oh, forget all those facts that Amazon is making money from you.
Right.
No, Amazon don't care about it. For them, even for this reason, the customer came first and they suspended the account. They wanted to find the reason.
Right.
It took us 16 days to reinstate that account, but which is worst. This is the worst case I would have ever seen. That one customer complained. You provide invoices, everything you provide, and the little things on the invoices is like when you provide the invoice of candles, it just say candles.
Right.
It won't say the AC number.
Right.
It won't say what it is, and then you have to specify the invoice. We had to write to a lot of different departments. So finally, we got through. I believe if you haven't done anything wrong, there is always a way of getting things right.
Right. So some of the reasons you said, just to sum up kind of what you said. So you said, unauthentic products, right? If you're selling something as used when it is new, the other way around, new if it's used. And then you said, invoices are really important for Amazon. Providing that paperwork is really important. Making sure that patents, right? So if you're selling something that there is a patent on, then that can sometimes get you in trouble if you don't have the right paperwork for it. So these are some of the reasons why folks can get that suspension notice, either a warning or a suspension. So now what do? You got that dreaded email in your inbox. You checked. What do you do next?
We may have missed few other reasons. There are intellectual property complaints, linked accounts, product review manipulation. Some new sellers come in and say, I'll get 100 product reviews. They quickly plug it into the viral launch website or in Facebook, and they start getting reviews. But Amazon bots found out and they suspended it, and they don't. Sometimes Amazon blocks it, the account completely for those violations.
Sure. So now what
there are a lot of other reasons as well we should be careful about.
Okay. So what do you do now that that's happened to you?
So when you see the suspended email, obviously, like 90% of the sellers will really panic. Oh God, what do I do?
Right.
Because if your main source of income is only Amazon, like you learn to do only Amazon. I came across a lot of sellers who only knew, this is it. This is my box and this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
And one morning they wake up and they're out. So they started panicking though. What's going to happen? I'm going to pay my bills. If there's a chunk of money sitting on Amazon, Amazon will not release those money till you are reinstated.
Right.
You got stock on FBA and all that. Right. I'll come to the point. So if you are suspended, you look at the email first. So you look at the email, that will tell you, this is the reason why you are suspended. If there is related to any products, you will have all the ASIN numbers. So what you do, you analyze your email first. Don't panic. Just read through the email correctly. Find the main reason, then start investigating. So, for example, if you have been suspended for order defect rate, I think it is the very easy one. Where you get suspended, you can get reinstated very easily. So you go on your defect rates and find out late deliveries issues, late shipment issues, or product not as described issues. So how many customers were unhappy? You analyze the data. So that is your root cause of suspension. So Amazon filters it out like root cause of suspension. Then Amazon tells you steps you have taken. What you have done, solve that problem. You can't just tell Amazon, look, I'm selling all good products. There is no problem with mine. I've seen previous appeals where customers say, well, look, I'm selling everything. Why are you complaining? Amazon is not interested in those. They will just straight say, you haven't provided enough information. It's the same template email they'll get. And sellers get frustrated because Amazon doesn't want to see that. Amazon want to see that, there was a problem. Acknowledge it. You got a problem. You got a solution. And you got a solution for your future. So they will tell you 3 steps. What are the root causes? Find out, go back, find out your root causes. You make a list of them. then you take the immediate steps you're going to take to eliminate. Either you remove those products which had problems, or you correct the deliveries which had problems, like you're shipping by a certain courier, you change the courier, you provide tracking numbers, you proactively do things which Amazon is looking for, and the future steps, like which will prevent those. If your appeal is good, very well written and everything, then the chances are very quickly you will get back on Amazon.
So tell us, just on average, in your experience, how long does it take? How long does it take to do that process? Since, the start of when you get that email or you check your Seller Central to see what the issue is until you are reinstated again?
Right. And it takes, from our past experience, we have reinstated accounts 2 hours till 41 days.
Got it.
So the order defect rate, I would say, is the most easiest to reinstate, because your problems are very clear and you can address them, and Amazon will accept those. And then Amazon, where a lot of forums say that Amazon don't reinstate accounts in first appeal, which is wrong. If you tick box all their problems and if you give a proper action plan, they will put you back on pretty quickly.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it has to be very precise. You have to precise everything.
Right.
Then you will put back. That's the one.
Got it.
Inauthentic item, if you don't have invoices, then it's going to be very tough, because you have sold items without invoices. So where did you buy the product without invoices? That is on. We have a lot of clients who do drop shipping.
Right.
Now, what happens with drop shipping is they list all the items. So when Amazon removes a chunk of items, they will also include few items which has never been sold.
Mm-hmm.
And then in their email, we'll ask them, well, give us the invoices. So we get clients and say, okay, I'm drop shipping. How can I give them invoices? So there is an explanation bit you need to explain Amazon. Because I'm drop shipping, I've listed the products without ownership. So which is one of the things which seller come across. So they will take sometimes longer because it's to and fro emails.
Gotcha.
And intellectual property rights, IPR complaints could be longer than expected sometimes, because if you don't, Amazon normally asks for a retraction from the right owners. And basically, right owners are not obliged to reply you. When you email a right owner, say that, well, I have made a mistake. For him, it's nothing. Okay, but it's your problem. I'm not going to reply you or retract the complaint. Basically, the retraction means you're allowed to sell that product again.
Gotcha.
That is the reason they're not going to retract it. So the step would be remove the products which have been in complaints, and then write on your appeal the basic steps, what you're going to do next. So basically, I would say from 2 hours till 42 days, it's a long process.
Yeah.
Depends on your violation. If you have repeatedly violated something, then it's going to be very difficult. Like late dispatch rate, okay, it's easy on the first time.
Right.
But if you do that again, Amazon got that, okay, you're doing the same mistake repeatedly.
Right.
We're not going to reinstate you.
Right. Well, Amazon wants you to know that they want to know that you've learned from your mistakes, right? That you are not going to do the same thing. But if mistakenly, it was late shipping one time and it was something else another time, then Amazon will be more lenient about that, right?
That's correct.
So tell me a little bit about.
They're never lenient. I mean, it's the wrong word.
It's relative.
They don't want you to make mistakes and they will be lenient. No.
Right. It's relative. You absolutely. But I think it almost sounds like when you're saying if it's an authentic, genuine sort of mistake, an oversight on the seller's part, and if you provide the right paperwork, you provide the right documentation, you tell Amazon that it's not going to happen again, that you're going to take some steps to avoid making this mistake, that Amazon isn't just going to sort of, throw down the hammer, that they will work with you. So in terms of working with you, can a seller contact seller support to help them with a suspension issue?
It's a very good question, because normally, there are a lot of sellers who come across suspension for the first time. Mm-hmm. This is where they normally are not aware. So for sellers, the first point of contact would be seller support. Mm-hmm. But when you're suspended, you don't get the option to contact seller support. You have to Google it, and there are certain links available where you can contact a seller health team.
Yeah.
So you contact the health team. They wouldn't know anything about your account. When you give them the email address, they will look into your account. They will have the overview, and they can help you write an appeal. Not exactly write an appeal. They will tell you what to write.
Sure.
They will tell you, okay, write the root causes but you find the root causes. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Got it.
We say you need to write all the root causes, but you have to find it. Then you have to write the steps, but you have to do it. So basically, you would say that, okay, they're not very helpful.
Right.
They can't really provide you support. They can just tell you basic stuff, that what you need to do, where you need to submit your appeal, or if they will help you create a case, which may be an additional case. But to be honest, if I would say, okay, there's no help really from seller support.
Right. So tell me, so let's say, so this is, I think, the difference between someone who's a new seller who maybe it doesn't have as much invested in their initial account as opposed to someone who's a seasoned seller and they're doing, a few grand a month in sales. So those people, the second group there, of course, they want to get that money from Amazon because Amazon is holding on to it until they get unsuspended. But for a new seller, they just started off, they made a mistake, there was an oversight, Amazon suspended them. Some people say, oh, let's just close that account, let's start another one. Tell us why sellers can't really do that.
Right. Yes. This is an interesting thing. A lot of people, if they have started an account, the account gets suspended. He said, well, I'll buy a new account. There's a new thing going on in the market where people come across, oh, okay, do you sell accounts? He said, yeah, I will sell you an account, but it won't work because Amazon will find out after a few months, there is no verification. Right. A lot of people sell account. I would say, no, that's a complete no. Sellers tend to open new accounts, maybe in their wife's name or something.
Right.
And Amazon will find out because Amazon has a policy that one of your account is suspended. You're not allowed to open another account.
Got it.
Either if it's linked by IP address, or there are other reasons they're linking by credit card, or anything else which links the account, they will close the account. There is one way of doing it, I would say, is a completely new person, a family friend or somebody. You open another limited company, then you open another Amazon account. Right. So basically you're trading you as a new business in somebody else's name.
Right.
That is possible. But it's again like you're doing the whole process again.
Right.
And rather than doing that, you should reinstate your current account. I would suggest that. But for the same person, because if you don't reinstate your account and if you don't rectify your mistakes, you in your name won't be able to do a business on Amazon again because Amazon will have you sort of blacklisted.
Got it. So the solution isn't to just, start over again. The solution really is to figure out what the problem is and take the steps to rectify it and get unsuspended.
Yeah, that's correct.
Perfect. So, so you talk a lot about suspensions. You've talked about your experience. You've given sellers tips and tricks on what they can do. They really need to analyze the email. They need to provide provide documentation and proof that those mistakes aren't going to happen again. They need to answer what Amazon is asking for. Sometimes that can be really overwhelming, right, for a seller who hasn't experienced this. So this is where you guys come in. So tell me a little bit about what the Appeal Guru does, because this is your area of expertise.
Right. We are based in London, and we serve currently clients all over UK. And we recently started serving clients from US, Canada, and Europe, but not as much as we does for UK clients. But recent exposure through LinkedIn, and we are in connection with a lot of Amazon consultants who are bringing us clients. The only thing I wouldn't brag about, but the only thing different we do is there is no win, no fee. So we don't want the money if we can't reinstate the account. We put it no-brainer. If you use our service, if you can't reinstate you, we'll refund your money. So there's nothing to lose in using our service. Sure. So that is the first thing. Regarding steps, the same thing like a seller would follow in his own account for reinstatement. We do the same thing, but maybe because we have been doing for so many years, we know exact process. So if we are contacted by a seller about the suspension, normally what happens in London, because normally they call me and I'm available normally till 11 o'clock in the night. So they call me, I speak to them. And most of the times is some sort of emotional support goes through initially.
Sure.
So it happens because they're really stressed, Yeah. So I tell them that, look, things that happen, now you don't need to think about it. Now we need to think about reinstatement. Right. So we go through the process, we check the first email. That starts with the first suspension email. Then we look into that account. We take all the reports which is needed to create an appeal based on the problem. And we basically write an appeal within 24 to 48 hours. We email them the appeal. They proofread it and they submit to Amazon. And if there are many cases where Amazon will come back and say, oh, information is not enough, you need to dig in more. So we take on the information, we check, and we re-appeal again. Sometimes it gets reinstated in second time. In a case, we have done 14 appeal as well in one client. So it's a repeat. And even after that, if we lose, we pay back. So, we investing our time and effort. So all we need is you to be reinstated and back into the business, because we want to keep them long term. If we reinstate a client, we also provide a subscription service where for a little amount weekly, we monitor their account. So if they have a policy warning, if their ASIN is suspended, ASIN is suspended for any reason, if they got problem with their FBA, we support with everything for a little amount of money. So for them, it's just sales. We look after the account health. So that is something we do as well for the clients.
So that part is great, right? So before you even get to that suspension level, it's really important to monitor the health of your account. So are there any tips that you tell your customers, that you tell your clients that, hey, these are the things that you need to be mindful of on a daily basis or on a regular basis, so that way you don't get to that point of suspension? Like 50% of the sellers we work with, from my experience, they are very good. They understand when they have a policy warning, they acted it. Right.
When they have returned, they check the reason. They have been proactive. If the ASIN is removed, they are proactive. Okay, if this ASIN is removed, we should remove the similar products immediately. Sure. Otherwise, second email would be a policy warning and third email would be a suspension. They should know that the product type should be removed. But many sellers are busy making money. Okay, I'm making 7,000, 10,000. Policy warning, Amazon got a tab now, mark as read. So Amazon, maybe, I'm not very sure, but they're monitoring if you are reading your policy warning and acting on it or not.
Right.
But they don't bother to even look at that. And then a stage comes where we have looked at accounts where a customer got 18 products removed one after another.
Right.
He didn't bother even reading at it because he said he was very busy. And the next email was he will get suspended. So yeah, most sellers are pretty good, but that is, account health is becoming more and more important with Amazon at the moment.
Right.
That you need to maintain that very good to sustain your business long term.
So absolutely. So that is key. It's key to prevent rather than having to, lose your income over, several hours, several days, several weeks, months even. So your suggestion is be very, be on top of it, use a service like yours that allows you to, those first warnings, and to react or respond to them, and then read those emails from Amazon. So important, right?
Yeah,
read
Amazon.
those
That's
emails.
correct.
Yeah.
Read all the emails from Amazon.
Yeah, I think we get so numb, right? We get so many emails on a daily basis, but I think that you've hit it right on the nail. Read those emails, figure out what the issue is, and then respond accordingly.
But once the seller gets suspended, they get very worried about that red mark coming on the top of the Amazon button. That, policy warning, they get very scared.
Yeah, this is a scary little thing.
Yeah, keep them awake.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Chirag, thank you so much for chatting with us today. This was really great information. And then, we'll add Chirag's information to the bottom. The Appeal Guru, it's a great resource for our sellers, for both, seller mobile customers, for other Amazon sellers. Staying on top of your Amazon account health, your seller account health is really important, so you guys can continue selling and doing great stuff.
Thank you, Hiba. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
It's really great talking to you.
Yeah, it's great talking to you too.